Hi, I'm Jackie Forbes, and welcome to episode 2 of By the Way. Now, when I was a kid, I didn't even know being gay was a thing, let alone bisexuality. For a long time, I didn't even know it was literally possible to fall in love with or be attracted to the same gender. It was because it was something I never saw anywhere. Like, I never saw media or stories or anything with, like, same-gender couples. It was just not a part of my bringing up. Like, no one ever mentioned it to me. Not because, like, my parents were necessarily homophobic, but I don't know. It was just never a topic that came up. And when I did find out it was a thing, I thought my immediate reaction to it was that it was weird and that it was unnatural and honestly a little bit gross. And I was homophobic for a little while until, I grew up and was like, oh, hey, like, it's not weird or unnatural to love someone that's the same gender. It's perfectly normal. And I didn't know until like my mid or late teens that bisexuality was a thing. I had no clue that it was possible to like more than one gender at once. I had no clue. Again, because you never fucking saw it anywhere. And I feel like it's stuff like that that makes people growing up, bisexual people growing up, part of the reason that it's so hard to even know you're bisexual to begin with, because you're so told all the time it's one or the other. You gotta pick one, you gotta choose one, it's not both. And you hardly ever see both, like, liking more than one gender. And that was like a huge part of the reason it took me so long to realize my attraction to women, because it was so weird. Because like looking back on my life, like there are a lot of like signs that I was attracted to women that I just straight up ignored. I just ignored it. It wasn't even like I made a conscious decision to ignore it. It just like rolled right off me. I was like, oh, okay. Like, for instance, the first time I was like turned on and knew what I was feeling, because when you're younger you feel those feelings but you don't understand it, but the first time I felt that and knew what it was during a movie where there was a sex scene between two women. Like, I was like watching it from the doorway and I was like, ooh, I feel things. It was like that. And you would think that would get me wondering if I was attracted to women, but because I was also attracted to men, it just didn't even cross my mind to even think about it at all. Because that's what happens, because there's so much compulsory heterosexuality in our society that if you're attracted to who you're supposed to be attracted to, the fact that you're also attracted to other genders, you just don't acknowledge it. You still can't. You feel like it's not correct to consider yourself one of them, and you just lock it away somewhere in the back of your head and you just don't acknowledge it. And that's what I did for such a long time. Like, there's so many like female cartoon characters I had been attracted to, so many like celebrities. Like, I mean, I can't really say for most of my childhood I was attracted to any like real life girls, because I was locking it down so much and I was focusing all my attention on guys, because that was what I was just told to do by the world. I mean, I did feel attracted to and have crushes on all those guys, but girls just weren't even a factor in my equation. And I didn't realize I was bisexual until I was 17, where I was thrust into an environment where there were pretty much no good-looking guys in the school. I was in a new school for my senior year. It was across the country. Gorgeous girls all over the place. Good-looking guys, there was like two. And even I literally looked at a girl's chest on my first day in this one class, and I was like, why was I looking at her boobs? Oh well, let's just not think about this at all. And like, I wound up getting like this like little crush on her, and I still wasn't acknowledging my attraction to women. I was like taking pictures of cheerleaders wearing short skirts. I was doing all this stuff, and I wasn't even thinking about it. And then I worked at a music store. This is like the dumbest bi realization story ever, but I was working in a music store, and like there was like a bunch of like figurines in like one of the corners, and one of them was like this Playboy figurine. She had like the big tits and the cleavage or whatever, and I kept like going down to like look at it, and then like maybe like the 7th time I did this, I was like, my brain was like, you're not straight, You're not, why would you be doing this if you were straight? You wouldn't. You are attracted to women. And I was like, oh, I guess so. And then I told my mom one day in the car, and she was like very confused because, again, I'd always been like extremely into guys. Like, I had like 5 crushes at once at any given moment during my teenage years, and it was all the dudes, but she was very accepting of it. Then I went to college the next year, and I was in New York City, and I was feeling lonely, and I liked 1 or 2 of the guys in my class for my film class, but they weren't interested in me, so I started looking online, and I'm like, oh, well, since I like women, I can look up women on this site, and I did, and one of them messaged me, and we started instant messaging each other, and the talk got very, very, very dirty, and I got so turned on by it, it freaked me the fuck out. I had never felt that sexually strong about pretty much any actual person in my entire life. So I shut the whole thing down. I was like, listen, I like someone else, and and after that, I just pretty much locked down. I just locked out that shit up in a box. I locked in the box back in my head. I was like, I can't, no. And so I stopped calling myself bisexual, and I call myself straight with a few exceptions, because again, in my actual day-to-day life, I wasn't getting crushes on girls, and I thought it was because I just didn't really think of girls that way, but the reason I didn't think of girls that way is because I wasn't letting myself think of girls that way, like, subconsciously, and I just kept calling myself, like, heteroflexible and all that stuff, and it was not true. It wasn't true. I was, like, fooling myself. I wasn't letting myself feel those things. I wasn't accepting it. It can affect you even if you're not, like, didn't actively grow up in an immediate environment where you, like, hate gay people. It can still happen to you because of the society that we live in. And then finally, beginning of 2014, me and my boyfriend broke up, and I was like, you know what, I mean, now that this is over, like, I'm not gonna marry this guy, so maybe I could, like, look and see if there is actually anything to me liking women. Like, I finally accepted it. At first it started with, oh, I could definitely have sex with a woman, but I still can't see myself being in a romantic relationship with one. And then, like, a month or 2 later, it's like, oh no, I can. Never mind, I totally can. And that's where we are today. And even now, like, intellectually, I know this mindset is complete bullshit, but the fact that I still have never, like, kissed a woman or had sex with a woman or dated a woman makes me feel like I'm just, like, pretending to be bisexual. I'm just telling myself that I'm attracted to women, which doesn't make any sense. And it's amazing how much we can just lie to ourselves our entire lives. There are people who don't find out their sexuality until they're in their like 40s or 50s, because we live in a world that tells you to just shut down that part of yourself. When you're actually gay, I feel like it's a little easier to come to terms with who you're attracted to, because that's all you're attracted to. Even then, it's still really difficult, but it's, like, doubly hard for us bisexual people, because not only are we told that, like, if you like men, then you just like men and that's it, but we're also told that if you think you like both and you're confused, or you're gonna wind up picking one, or you're just going through a phase, and it makes it, or you're just doing it for attention, and that makes it even worse. Like, you internalize all this shit. Even if you don't consciously believe any of this stuff, you still internalize it, and it's really difficult to get past it and learn to accept yourself and who you love and who you're attracted to. I feel like it's so hard to really sexuality is really confusing, and the fact that people want to just stick everything into, like, certain boxes, and you can't ever leave those boxes or find a new box or just figure out that, like, you know, you don't have a box at all. It's like, it's so limiting, and it hurts people. It hurts people all the time. It hurts people's lives. It ruins them psychologically. It makes them live lies. It makes them, like, not be as happy as they could be. And I just wish we could live in a world where a kid can grow up and, like, they didn't have to grow up like I did, not even knowing that there are other options available to them, or feeling like, you know, their feelings aren't real, or it just sucks. It really, really sucks. So be sure to leave your own bi stories in the comments, and we can all commiserate together. So I'm Jackie Forbes, and by the way, bisexuality is real. great thing about being bi. I can be rejected by twice the amount of people now. Yay!